Judy, how important is the role of a producer?
Well, not enough can be said about the person who's the actual hands-on producer who works with you on a day-to-day basis. And for me, that is, my producer is Nancy Kissick. And Nancy and I were friends long before this and had worked on a short film together. We did a narrative film together back in 2001, something like that. And when I started working on this, it became apparent to me that while I have been able to be a producer and a director on many projects, that this was going to be too overwhelming. And Nancy came on, and I just put all the day-to-day burdens on her shoulders. She's the one who set up that shoot in New York of the Harlem Steps, you know, the poster of the photo. That was 3 months' work of Nancy on the phone just organizing that. She's the one who takes care of all the financial matters, who keeps us straight, who keeps my head on straight. And then she has incredible taste. So every time Edward and I would do a cut, we'd haul Nancy in there and she would sit down and watch the cut with us. And her comments were usually just spot on. You know, she knows how to just say the right thing. So having somebody like that on your team is so important, because even you and the editor, you know, you get so deeply immersed in it that you can't see it anymore. And having one other person with great taste who has the project's best interest at heart, that's what a great producer does for you. That's what Nancy did for us.
And how long have you known her?
I've known Nancy for probably 25 years, but we just knew each other on a friendship basis. She had worked for a major advertising agency, and my husband was working with them as well, doing the music for a lot of their commercials. And so we met socially, and we were at parties together and just, you know, kind of hit it off with a friendship. And she went on to do a lot of, excuse me, other producing. And when I was going to do my short film, I called her and said, I need a producer. So I called Nancy and asked her if she would want to produce that for me. She did. And once we worked together, I started thinking, you know, I'd like to work with her again. So that's what we did.
What are some traits that are great in producers that you would advise other filmmakers to look for, even if they don't have a long IMDb list?
The producer has to be someone who is there to support your vision and not to pull the film in another direction. That's one of the great gifts that Nancy has. She's there to support my vision, and she knows how to do it when it's required. She keeps me from falling through a lot of traps, falling through holes, making mistakes. She remembers stuff that I forget. It's, you know, it's a real wonderful support. That's what you need.
Proactive and on top of things.
Exactly. Proactive, on top of things, but knows not to try to take it away from the director. That's hard.
How would you recommend one find a producer?
Boy, that's a mystery that I have never been able to advise anybody or solve for anybody. You get out there and have a career, and you'll meet people who will come into your life and come into your circle of people that you will want to work with. And you'll try working with them, and if they don't work out, they'll go by the wayside. But eventually you find the group that you want to work with. And it's just trial and error and hit and miss. There's not a place you go, producers are us, you know, that you can just rent a producer. It's finding the right person who you can work with.
What are some of the things you have to do to keep a producer happy? I mean, it's like any relationship. It's probably a lot of give and take, and some good days, some bad days.
Well, I keep my producer happy by feeding her lunch every day. I make lunch for my entire crew.
Oh, wow.
I do. Wonderful. This started out as a lark because people work here in my studio office, and I didn't want them having to go out, have lunch, find a place to eat, drive, come back. And, you know, it's not like in walking distance there's some places to eat. So I just started, you know, making lunch or letting them fix lunch for themselves. But it seems to have turned into a wonderful part of our day. And it's a time where we all get to sit together and talk together as a group. And you know, this is interesting, this new thing that happened with the CEO of Google, where she now wants people all to come into the office and work together. I don't know if you know about this. Well, you know, everybody's working from their home now because you can. Everybody's in a virtual office. Well, the new CEO of Google realized that something was missing by doing this, and she decided to have people come back into an office and work together. And in doing that, you start to talk about things that don't come up when you're in a virtual office. And we find that here, that, you know, yesterday I threw out a problem to my 4 people. We're sitting out in the patio having lunch, and I said, okay, we've got a problem here. How are we going to solve this? I had come up with 3 or 4 thoughts on my own. Around the table, they came up with 5 or 6 more thoughts. And by the end of the day, we were implementing them. So, you know, there's a difference between being virtual and being real. That's how I like to work with my people.